I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from. At 67, I never expected to feel invisible in my own family. My name is Jennifer King, and I've been a widow for 12 years now. My husband, Richard, was the love of my life. We built everything together, supported each other through thick and thin, and raised 2 beautiful children. When he died of a sudden heart attack, I thought the worst pain of my life was behind me. I was wrong. Every morning follows the same routine. I wake up at 6:30, brew a pot of coffee, and stare at the family photos lining my kitchen wall. There's Samuel at his college graduation, Rachel's wedding day, all 8 grandchildren at various ages and stages. In each picture, I'm there, smiling, serving food, or standing in the background. Never the center. Always the supporter. Samuel has 5 children with his wife Olivia, twins Emily and Ethan, who are 12, 9-year-old Jacob, 7-year-old Sophie, and little Max, who just turned 4. Rachel has 3 with her husband Nathan, 10-year-old Lily, 8-year-old Noah, and 6-year-old Zoe. 8 beautiful souls who light up my life, even if their parents sometimes forget I have a life beyond babysitting. The phone rings while I'm washing my breakfast dishes. It's Rachel. Mom, thank God you answered. We have this dinner with Nathan's boss tonight, and our sitter canceled. Can you take the kids? I'll drop them off at 5. Not, how are you, Mom? Not, do you have plans tonight? Just an assumption that I'm available, always available. I had plans to attend my book club tonight, Rachel. It's been on my calendar for weeks. A pause. I can almost hear her impatience through the silence. Mom, this is important. Nathan could get a promotion. Can't you skip your book thing just this once? Just this once. The same words she used last month when I missed my friend Karen's birthday dinner. And the month before when I had to cancel my doctor's appointment to pick up Lily from school when she had a fever. Fine, I say, the word tasting bitter in my mouth. I'll be here. You're a lifesaver, Mom. I'll bring pizza for the kids. She hangs up before I can respond. Before I can tell her that I've already made 3 casseroles this week for Samuel's family because Olivia has been too busy with her yoga instructor certification to cook. Before I can mention that I've spent over $200 on groceries for meals I won't even eat. I call Karen to cancel our book club carpool. Jennifer, this is the 3rd time you've canceled. Let me guess, Rachel or Samuel needed something? The truth in her words stings. Rachel and Nathan have an important dinner. Their sitter canceled. Karen sighs. And you're the backup plan. Again, they're busy with their careers. They have young families. And you have a life too, Jennifer. At least you're supposed to. Do I, though? Sometimes I wonder what's left of Jennifer King beyond being mom and grandma. My kitchen calendar is filled with the grandkids' soccer games, school plays, and doctor appointments, but nothing that's just for me. After Richard died, I threw myself into being there for my children. I thought if I made myself indispensable, I would always be needed, always be valued. What I didn't realize was that being needed isn't the same as being respected or appreciated. The doorbell rings at 4:45. Rachel is early, unusual for her. Mom, thank you so much, she says, rushing in with her 3 kids. I brought chicken nuggets instead of pizza. Noah's on this anti-cheese kick. She doesn't look at me as she speaks, too busy texting on her phone. Rachel, I made that pasta salad Noah likes. It's in the fridge. She finally glances up. Oh, you didn't need to do that. We've got to run. Nathan's waiting in the car. Kids, behave for Grandma. And she's gone. A whirlwind of expensive perfume and distraction, leaving 3 children and not so much as a how are you or thank you for changing your plans. Zoe tugs at my sleeve. Grandma, can we make cookies? I look down into her hopeful eyes and feel the familiar softening. This is why I do it, for these moments, for these children who still see me. Of course we can, sweetheart. Let's get your brother and sister and make a mess. As we're mixing chocolate chip cookie dough, my phone rings again. It's Samuel this time. Mom, are you busy tomorrow morning? Olivia has a certification exam and I have an early meeting. Could you come over around 6:30 to get the kids ready for school? I close my eyes, feeling the weight of another obligation. I have a doctor's appointment at 9:30, Samuel. That's perfect. You'll be done with drop-offs by 8:15, so you'll have plenty of time. He doesn't ask what the appointment is for, doesn't offer to reschedule his meeting or suggest Olivia take her exam another day. Sure, I'll be there. You're the best, Mom. I don't know what we'd do without you. Without me, they'd have to pay a babysitter. Without me, they'd have to rearrange their priorities. Without me, they'd have to acknowledge that their lives are built on the foundation of my constant, unpaid, and unappreciated labor. But I say none of this. I just agree, as I always do. That night, after the kids are asleep on the air mattresses I've set up in the living room, I sit alone at my kitchen table. The house is quiet, except for the occasional sound of a child stirring. I look at the framed photo of Richard on the counter. They take advantage of me, Rich, I whisper to his smiling face. I don't know how to make them see me anymore. The following week passes in a blur of babysitting, cooking meals for both families, attending Jacob's soccer game where Samuel and Olivia show up late and leave early, and helping Rachel organize Lily's birthday party, for which I paid half the cost without being asked. My back aches from lifting 4-year-old Max. My checking account dwindles from all the little things I buy for the grandkids that their parents seem to forget. New shoes for Emily, a science kit for Noah, snacks for all the kids' activities. No one offers to reimburse me. No one even notices. On Thursday evening, I'm preparing a lasagna to take to Samuel's house when the phone rings again. It's Rachel. Mom, Nathan and I were thinking of taking a weekend trip to that beach resort we've been eyeing. Would it be possible for the kids to stay with you? Just Friday to Sunday. I grip the phone tighter, feeling something shift inside me. What about Samuel and Olivia? Don't they want some adult time too? Rachel laughs, the sound careless and unaware. That's the thing, Mom. We were talking and they're interested in going to that mountain lodge they've been wanting to try. We thought maybe all the kids could stay with you. It would just be for the weekend. Just for the weekend. Just 8 children, ages 4 to 12, for 3 days and 2 nights. Just meals and activities and bedtimes, and potential fights and accidents and meltdowns. When are you thinking of doing this? I ask, my voice steady despite the churning in my stomach. Weekend after next. The weekend before Christmas. We know you've already bought all the presents and planned the dinner, so it just makes sense, you know? We'll all be back for Christmas Day. You already have the food ordered and everything. Of course. The Christmas dinner I spend weeks planning and saving for. The presents I buy months in advance, carefully selecting something special for each grandchild, each child, each spouse. The decorations I put up alone, the tree I trim with ornaments that hold decades of memories. Let me think about it, I say, surprising myself with this small act of resistance. Rachel sounds equally surprised. What's there to think about, Mom? You love having the kids. I do love the grandkids. I just need to check my calendar. Your calendar? She laughs again, the sound grating now. What could you possibly have planned that's more important than family? The question hangs between us, loaded with assumptions that make my chest tight with indignation. I'll let you know tomorrow, Rachel. I hang up before she can respond, my hands trembling slightly. That night I can't sleep. I lie awake thinking about the last several years since Richard died. How gradually, imperceptibly, I've become less of a person and more of a function in my children's lives. How my birthday last August passed with only a text message from Rachel 3 days late and nothing at all from Samuel. How I was seated at the far end of the table at Thanksgiving, away from the main conversation, only acknowledged when someone needed the gravy boat passed down. I think about the $900 I've already spent on Christmas dinner preparations, the $1,200 in gifts hidden in my closet, the countless hours I'll spend cleaning before and after the holiday, cooking and serving while everyone else enjoys themselves. And now they want me to watch all 8 grandchildren so they can have a pre-Christmas vacation. I get up and go to the living room. On the wall hangs a large family portrait taken 4 years ago. I study it in the dim light from the street lamps outside. There's Rachel, beautiful in a red dress, standing front and center with Nathan beside her. Samuel and Olivia to the left, equally prominent. The grandchildren arranged artfully around them, all smiling, and there I am, almost hidden in the back, slightly blurry, as if the photographer couldn't be bothered to make sure I was in focus. I remember that day. The photographer had said, "Mom, could you stand in the back so you don't block anyone?" Mom, not Mrs. King or Jennifer, just Mom. A title that once felt like the greatest honor, but now feels like all that remains of my identity. A week before Christmas, I'm in the kitchen making my second cup of coffee when I hear voices coming from the living room. It's Rachel on the phone. I hadn't even heard her come in. She has a key, of course, though she rarely uses it unless she needs something. Her tone is casual, carefree, as if she's planning a vacation or picking out a new dress. I approach slowly, not wanting to interrupt, but something in her voice makes me pause in the hallway. "Just leave all 8 grandkids with her to watch and that's it," Rachel says with a laugh. "She doesn't have anything else to do anyway. We're going to the hotel and we'll have a peaceful time." I freeze, the coffee mug warm in my suddenly cold hands. "Yeah, Nathan already booked the hotel at the coast," she continues. "We're going to take advantage of these days without the kids. Samuel and Olivia agree too. They're going to that resort they've always wanted to visit." My heart pounds in my ears as I strain to hear more. "Mom has experience. She knows how to handle all 8 of them," Rachel says, her voice dripping with casual dismissal. "Plus, she already bought the gifts and paid for dinner. We just have to show up on the 25th, eat, open presents, and that's it." Perfect. Perfect. That word hangs in the air like poison. Perfect for them. Perfect for everyone but me. I carefully place the mug on the hallway table, trying not to make a sound. My hands are shaking. Not from fear, but from a rage so deep I didn't even know I had it in me. A rage that had been dormant for years, waiting for the exact moment to awaken. I walk back to the kitchen silently, cross the hall, and go up the stairs to my bedroom. Each step feels heavier than the last. I close the door behind me and sit on the edge of my bed, staring into space. Here I am, Jennifer King, 67 years old, widowed for 12 years, a mother of 2 children who have just reduced me to a free employee, a grandmother of 8 grandchildren I love with all my heart, but who apparently only serve as an excuse for their parents to escape their responsibilities. I look around my room. The walls are filled with family photos, birthdays, graduations, first communions. In all those photos, I am there, always present, always smiling, always holding someone, serving something, organizing everything from the background. But in none of those photos am I the center. In none of those celebrations had anyone thought of me first. I get up and walk to the closet. There are the gift bags I've bought over the last 3 months. 8 carefully chosen gifts for each of my grandchildren. Toys, clothes, books. I've spent more than $200 in total. Money from my pension, which isn't much, but I've always managed it carefully so I could give them something special for Christmas. There's also the grocery receipt where I've prepaid for the entire dinner for 18 people. Turkey, sides, desserts, drinks. Another $900 with it came out of my pocket without anyone asking me to. I just did it because I thought that's how you showed love. I thought that if I gave enough, eventually I would get something back. How naive I had been. I sit down on the bed again and close my eyes. Memories begin to arrive like waves. Last year's Christmas. I cooked for 2 whole days. Rachel and Nathan arrived late, ate quickly, and left early because they had a party with friends. Samuel and Olivia did the same. The children stayed with me until midnight. I bathed them, put them to sleep on the air mattresses I had set up in the living room, and stayed up watching over them while their parents were toasting somewhere else. Christmas 2 years ago. Same thing. I prepared everything. They consumed it. And at the end of the day, I was left alone cleaning up dirty dishes and broken toys while listening to the echo of silence in my house. Year after year, birthdays, graduation parties, celebrations of all kinds. I was always the one in the kitchen, the one cleaning, the one watching the children while everyone else had fun. But my birthday? My birthday that day, no one remembered. Last year, Rachel called me 3 days later to say she had forgotten. Samuel didn't even call. There was no cake, no dinner. There was nothing. Just a text message from Rachel that said, "Sorry, Mom. It slipped my mind." You know how it is with the kids. I open my eyes and look at the gift bags again. Something inside me breaks at that moment. It isn't a dramatic break. It isn't a scream or uncontrolled crying. It's something much deeper. The silent fracturing of a woman who finally understands that she has been living for everyone but herself. I stand up and walk to the phone. I scroll through my contacts until I find the name of Karen Phillips, my friend of 30 years. Karen had invited me the week before to spend Christmas with her in a small town near the beach. I had declined the invitation because, of course, I had to be with my family. I dial her number. It rings 3 times before she answers. "Jennifer, what a surprise. How are you?" "Karen," I say, and my voice comes out firmer than I expected. "Is your invitation for Christmas still on?" There's a brief pause on the other end of the line. Then Karen's warm voice replies, "Of course it is. What happened?" I hesitate. Is it a lie to say something has happened when nothing specific has occurred? Or is it more accurate to say that everything has happened, slowly, over years, culminating in this moment of clarity? I just decided that this year I want to do things differently, I finally respond. "That sounds perfect," Karen says, and for the first time in a long time, the word perfect doesn't feel like a burden. We'll leave on the 23rd in the morning. I was thinking of going to the little coastal town where everything is calm. No pressure, just rest by the ocean. That sounds like exactly what I need. We hang up, and I stand there looking at the phone in my hand. Something has changed. I don't know exactly what, but I can feel it. It's as if, after years of carrying an invisible weight, someone has finally given me permission to let it go. I go back downstairs. Rachel is no longer in the living room. She has probably left without even saying goodbye, as she always does. I take out my notebook and start writing a list. It isn't a shopping list or a to-do list for Christmas dinner. It's a list of things I'm going to cancel. I sit in the kitchen with the notebook open in front of me. The pen in my hand seems to weigh more than usual. Outside, the December sun is beginning to hide behind the buildings, painting everything in shades of orange and gray. Inside of me, something dark is also stirring. I write the first line. Cancel the grocery store order. $900 that would go back into my account. $900 that I had set aside with effort, calculating every penny of my pension to be able to give them a decent dinner. A dinner they weren't even going to appreciate. I write the second line. Return the gifts. $1,200 more. Money I had saved for months, denying myself things I needed so I could see my grandchildren's faces light up as they opened their presents. But their parents weren't even going to be there to see that. They were going to be in hotels, at resorts, enjoying themselves while I did all the work. I closed the notebook and leaned back against the chair. The memories start coming unbidden, as they always do when I'm alone. Christmas 5 years ago, the first Christmas without Richard. He had died in October, and I was still broken inside, trying to pretend everything was okay. Rachel called me 2 weeks before Christmas and said, "Mom, you're going to cook like always this year, right? The kids are expecting your turkey. We don't want to disappoint them." I had just lost the love of my life, and my daughter was asking me to cook. She didn't ask how I was doing. She didn't offer to help. She just reminded me of my obligation. And I did it. I cooked the turkey. I prepared the side dishes. I decorated the house. I put on a nice dress and smiled when everyone arrived. No one mentioned Richard. No one toasted to his memory. It was as if he had never existed. They ate. They opened gifts. They left. I stayed alone that night, sitting on the couch, looking at the food scraps and wondering if anyone would notice if I simply disappeared. I remember my 65th birthday 2 years ago. I didn't expect much. I never did. But that particular day, I had woken up with a little hope. Maybe Rachel would remember. Maybe Samuel would show up with the kids. Maybe someone would make me feel like my existence mattered. I waited all day. I made coffee in case someone came. I baked a small cake, feeling ridiculous for doing it for myself. The hours passed. The phone didn't ring. No one knocked on the door. At 8 o'clock at night, I finally got a message from Rachel. "Sorry, Mom. The day got away from me. Happy belated birthday." Samuel didn't even write. I ate a slice of cake alone in the darkness of my kitchen, wondering when I had become invisible to my own children. But the worst part wasn't the forgotten birthdays or the lonely Christmases. The worst part was all the times I became something useful to them. When Rachel had her first child, I was excited to be a grandmother. I thought it would be a beautiful experience we would share together. But from the very first day, Rachel turned me into her personal nanny. "Mom, come watch the baby. I need to sleep." "Mom, stay with her tonight. We have an important dinner." "Mom, take her to the doctor. I have work." It was never, "Mom, thank you." It was never, "Mom, how are you?" It was always, "Mom, I need you to do this." And I did it. Of course I did it, because I thought that's how it worked. I thought that if I made myself indispensable, if I solved all their problems, eventually they would see me. They would value me. They would love me the way I needed to be loved. But it didn't work that way. The more I gave, the more they asked. The more I did, the more they expected. I became a resource, not a person. A solution, not a mother. Samuel wasn't any different. When he and Olivia had their first child, the story repeated itself. Calls at midnight because the baby wouldn't stop crying and they didn't know what to do. Entire weekends watching the kids because they needed time for themselves. They never paid me. They never really thanked me. They just assumed I would always be there, available, without a life of my own, without needs of my own. And the saddest part is that I allowed it to happen. I trained my children to treat me that way. Every time I said yes when I wanted to say no. Every time I smiled when inside I was breaking. Every time I swallowed my pain so as not to inconvenience anyone. I built this prison. I forged these chains myself. I get up from the chair and walk to the window. Outside, the neighbors' Christmas lights are starting to come on, bright colors trying to cheer up the winter darkness. But inside me, there is only gray. I think about all the previous Christmases, all the times I decorated this house alone, all the trees I put up without help, all the dinners I prepared while my children arrived late or didn't show up at all. I think about last year when Rachel asked me to watch her 3 kids for 4 days because she and Nathan were going on an anniversary trip. I accepted, of course. The kids got sick during those days, high fever, vomiting. I didn't sleep for 3 nights, caring for them, taking them to the doctor, giving them medicine. When Rachel returned, tanned and rested, the first thing she said to me was, "Mom, the kids look terrible. What did you feed them?" She didn't ask how I was. She didn't thank me for staying up all night. She blamed me. And I didn't say anything. I just lowered my head and apologized. I remember when Samuel borrowed money from me 2 years ago. He needed to pay a debt and assured me he would pay me back in 3 months. It was $2,000, almost everything I had saved for emergencies. I gave him the money. 3 months passed, 6 months passed, a year passed. He never paid me back. And when I finally mustered the courage to ask him, he looked at me as if I were the selfish one. "Mom, I'm in a difficult situation right now. I can't give you that money. I thought you had just given it to me. You're my mother. You're supposed to help me without expecting anything in return." He was right about one thing. I had always given without expecting anything in return. But that didn't mean it didn't hurt. It didn't mean it didn't make me feel used. I go back to the table and open the notebook again. I start writing a different list. It isn't a list of things I'm going to cancel. It's a list of all the times I have been invisible. My 63rd birthday. No one came. Last year's Mother's Day. I received a generic text message. Christmas 3 years ago. I cooked for 15 people. No one stayed to help me clean up. The time I was in the hospital with an infection, Rachel said she couldn't visit because she had yoga. When I sold my mother's jewelry to help Samuel with his business, he never thanked me. The list grows, page after page, years and years of moments when I had been treated as secondary, as someone whose existence only mattered when it was convenient for others. When I finish writing, I look at the pages filled with black ink and realize something. I had stopped existing for them a long time ago. I had become a function, a service. I was no longer Jennifer. I was no longer the woman who had dreams, desires, needs. I was just Mom, the problem solver, Grandma, the caretaker, her, the one who is always available. I close the notebook hard. The sound echoes in the empty kitchen. Something inside me hardens at that moment. It isn't hate. It isn't revenge. It's something much simpler and more powerful, the decision not to disappear again. That night I can't sleep. I stay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the silence of the house. A silence I know too well, the same silence that has accompanied me for the last 12 years, ever since Richard died and left me alone in this world. But I'm not really alone, am I? I have 2 children. I have 8 grandchildren. I have a family. Or at least that's what I believed. What I had believed for so long. I get up from the bed around 3 o'clock in the morning and go down to the living room. I turn on a small lamp and sit on the couch. In front of me on the wall is the large family portrait we had taken 4 years ago. We're all there. Rachel with Nathan and their 3 children, Samuel with Olivia and their 5 children, and me in the center, smiling. But as I look at that photo, something hits me with brutal force. I'm not really in the center. I'm in the back, almost hidden behind everyone, as if the photographer had decided that my presence wasn't important enough to highlight. I go closer to the photo and look at it more carefully. Rachel is in front, perfectly made up, with a radiant smile. Samuel beside her, with that confident look he always has. The children, beautiful, full of life. Nathan and Olivia posing as if they were in a magazine. And me, I'm there in the back, Small, blurry, almost invisible. I remember the day we took that photo. It had been Rachel's idea. "Mom, we need a professional family photo, something we can frame and put in the living room." I had been excited. I thought that finally there would be a memory where we were all together, united. But when we got to the studio, the photographer started arranging everyone. He put Rachel and Samuel in front. He arranged the grandchildren around them. He placed Nathan and Olivia in strategic positions. And then he looked at me and said, "You stand in the back, Mom. That way you don't block anyone." I obeyed, as I always did. I stood in the back. I didn't block anyone. I let everyone else shine while I stayed in the shadows. Rachel looked at the photos and was thrilled. "You look beautiful, Mom. You were perfect back there." Perfect back there. Those words now burn me like acid. I walk away from the portrait and go to the other side of the living room where there's a small shelf with more photos. Photos of birthdays, graduations, parties. I start looking through them one by one. In the photo of Rachel's graduation, I'm not there. She had told me there were only tickets for her husband and children. "You understand, Mom? The space is limited." I understood. I always understood. In the photo of Samuel's first child's baptism, I'm cut in half. Someone had decided that the important part of the photo was the baby and the parents. My face is divided by the edge of the frame. In the Christmas photo from 3 years ago, I'm in the kitchen serving food. I'm not with them at the table. I'm not toasting. I'm working, as always. I keep looking, photo after photo, and in all of them, it's the same. I'm absent, cut off, blurry, or simply in the background doing something useful. I'm never the center. I'm never the protagonist. I'm always the accessory. I sit down on the couch again with an old album in my hands. It's an album from when my children were little. Photos from when Rachel was 5 years old and Samuel was 7. Photos of birthdays, beach vacations, afternoons at the park. In all those photos, I'm present, smiling, hugging them, kissing them, being their mom. When did I stop being their mom and become their servant? I remember a specific moment. Rachel was 16. She had come home from school furious because a friend had betrayed her. I was cooking, but I stopped everything to listen to her. I sat with her for 2 hours, drying her tears, giving her advice, making her laugh. In the end, she hugged me and said, "Thanks, Mom. You're the best. You're always there when I need you. You're always there when I need you." That phrase had been a blessing then. Now I see it as a curse, because I realize that's exactly what I am to them. Someone who is there when they need me. Not someone who exists for myself. Not someone with my own needs. Just someone available to solve their problems. And with Samuel, it had been the same. I remember when he was 20 and going through a breakup. He came to my house in the middle of the night, crying. I stayed awake with him all night. I made him tea. I hugged him. I told him everything was going to be okay. He said to me, "I don't know what I would do without you, Mom. You always know how to fix things." You always know how to fix things. Another curse disguised as a compliment, because that's what I did. I fixed things. I solved problems. I was available. And at some point along that road, I stopped being a person and became a tool. I closed the album and put it aside. My hands are shaking, not from cold, but from contained rage. I remember Mother's Day last year, that day that is supposed to be for honoring mothers, to make them feel special, to thank them for everything they have done. Rachel sent me a text message at 11:00 in the morning. "Happy Mother's Day, Mom. We love you very much." With a heart emoji at the end. That was all. A generic message she probably sent from her bed without even thinking about it. Samuel called me at 3:00 in the afternoon. "Hey, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. Hey, can you watch the kids next weekend?" Olivia and I need to go out. Not even on Mother's Day could I just be the mother. I had to continue being the nanny. I told them yes, as always, and I spent that day alone, cooking for myself, pretending that I didn't care. But I did care. God, how I cared. I get up from the couch and walk to the window. Outside, the street is empty. The neighbors' Christmas lights are still on, blinking in the darkness. Green, red, gold colors that promise joy, colors that lie. I think about all the times I've put those same lights on my house, all the times I've decorated the tree alone, all the times I've tried to create a warm and cozy atmosphere for my family. And what have I received in return? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I remember the year I got sick. It was 3 years ago, a bad case of pneumonia that kept me in bed for 2 weeks. The doctor told me I needed absolute rest and that someone should take care of me. I called Rachel. Mom, I can't. The kids have activities, and Nathan is busy with work, but I can send you soup. Does that work for you? She never sent the soup. I called Samuel. Mom, this week is complicated. Olivia has an important event and I have meetings, but I'll call you later, okay? He didn't call. I spent those 2 weeks alone, dragging myself to the kitchen to make myself something to eat, taking medicine with trembling hands, sleeping in sweat and fever with no one to put a cool cloth on my forehead. And when I finally recovered and was available to them again, no one asked how I had been. They only called again when they needed something. Mom, can you watch the kids? Mom, can you lend me money? Mom, I need you to come help me with this. Always needing, never giving. I walk away from the window and go back to the couch. I take out my phone and open the photo gallery. I start looking through recent photos that Rachel and Samuel posted on their social media. There they are, smiling, happy, in fancy restaurants, on beach trips, at parties with friends, living their perfect lives. And in none of those photos am I present, because I'm not part of their perfect lives. I'm part of their obligations, their burdens, the things they have to tolerate, but not celebrate. I keep looking. I find a photo from 6 months ago. It was Nathan's birthday. Rachel had organized a big party. There was food, music, decorations. Everyone looked happy. I wasn't invited. I found out about the party days later when I saw the photos online. When I asked Rachel why she hadn't invited me, she said, "Oh, Mom, it was an adult party. I thought you'd be bored. Plus, it was last minute." Last minute. It had been planned for weeks, but I wasn't invited because I wasn't part of their social circle. I was just the one who watched their kids when they wanted to go out. The tears start to fall. They aren't tears of sadness. They're tears of rage, of frustration, of years and years of feeling small, invisible, insignificant. I angrily wipe away the tears and take a deep breath. I'm not going to cry about this anymore. I'm not going to sit around waiting for my children to finally see me. Because now I understand the truth. They're never going to see me. Not because I'm not visible, but because they have chosen not to look. Dawn comes slowly that morning. I'm still awake on the couch, surrounded by scattered albums and photos. The gray light of day begins to filter through the windows, illuminating the mess of memories I've left around me. I get up with an aching body. I haven't slept at all, but my mind is clearer than it has ever been. It's as if all the fog of years of confusion has finally lifted, and I can see with painful clarity. I go to the kitchen and make coffee. While I wait for the coffee maker to finish, I open my phone and look up the grocery store's number. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I know they open at 8 all week. I decide to wait. I sit at the table with my steaming cup of coffee in my hands. The warmth of the liquid comforts me, anchoring me to the reality of what I'm about to do. It isn't revenge I feel. It's something deeper. The conscious decision to stop sacrificing myself for people who have never appreciated it. It's choosing myself for the first time in decades. At 8 o'clock on the dot, I dial the grocery store's number. A friendly voice answers on the other end. Good morning, Central Market. How can I help you? Good morning. I need to cancel an order I placed for Christmas. The name is Jennifer King. There's a pause as the person looks in the system. Yes, here it is. A large order for 18 people. Turkey, full sides, desserts. The total is $900. Are you sure you want to cancel it? It's almost ready to be delivered on the 23rd. Am I sure? I think about the years of cooking alone, serving everyone, cleaning up while they chat and laugh. I think about the times I've been too tired to eat what I've prepared because I was busy making sure everyone else had what they needed. Completely sure. Please cancel it. Understood. The full refund will be made to your card within 3 to 5 business days. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, that's all. Thank you. I hang up the phone and look at it. 900 that will come back to me. 900s that I can use for myself, for something I want, for something that will make me happy. Next on my list are the gifts. I've bought 8 gifts from different stores over the last 3 months. Some still have receipts, others don't. But I'm going to try to return all of them. I get dressed quickly and leave the house. The first store opens at 9 o'clock. I arrive 15 minutes early and wait in the parking lot. When the doors finally open, I go straight to the returns counter. Good morning, I need to return this. I place a large box on the counter with a building set I bought for Samuel's oldest son, Ethan. It cost $150. The employee checks the receipt. It's within the return period. Any problem with the product? No, I just changed my mind. Understood. Refund to the card or store credit? Refund to the card. She processes the return and gives me the receipt. $150 back. I go to the second store. I return a bicycle I bought for Rachel's daughter, Lily. $200 more. Third store, a large doll with accessories for Sophie. $100 out. Fourth store, clothes for 3 of the grandchildren. $200 mamaini. Store after store, return after return. Some employees look at me with curiosity. An older woman returning so many toys before Christmas. They probably think it's strange, but I don't care what they think. By 2 in the afternoon, I've recovered 1,000. There are 2 gifts I can't return because I've lost the receipts. I leave them in a donation box outside a church. Let others enjoy them, children whose parents might actually value their grandmothers. I return home exhausted but with a strange feeling in my chest. It isn't joy. It isn't sadness. It's something like relief, like when you finally stop carrying a heavy load you've been holding for too long. I sit in the living room and dial Karen's number. Jennifer, what a surprise. How are you? Karen, about that beach trip. How long were you planning to stay? Well, I was going to be there until the 27th, but I can stay longer if you want. I was actually thinking of spending New Year's there, too. It's a peaceful place. Perfect for resting. Can I go with you? I mean, not just for Christmas. I want to go for longer. A week, maybe 2. There's a pause. Then Karen says in a soft voice, Jennifer, are you okay? You can tell me. And then it all comes out. I tell her about the conversation I overheard, about Rachel and Samuel planning to leave me with the 8 kids while they went on vacation, about all the years of being invisible, about the forgotten birthdays and the lonely Christmases, about feeling used and discarded. Karen listens in silence. When I finish, her voice is firm and warm. Jennifer, listen to me carefully. You're coming with me. We're leaving on the 23rd in the morning, and we're not coming back until you want to. We're going to spend Christmas and New Year's at the beach, eating well, resting, without pressure from anyone. And if anyone calls you, you don't answer. Did you hear me? You don't answer. But the children have parents, and those parents can take care of them for once in their lives. You are not responsible for solving the problems they created themselves. She's right. Of course she's right. But decades of conditioning don't disappear with one conversation. I'm scared, Karen. Scared of what they're going to say, of what they're going to think. And what about what you think? What about what you feel? Jennifer, you've spent your whole life worrying about what others feel. It's time for someone to worry about you. And if no one else is going to do it, then you have to do it yourself. We hang up after agreeing on the trip details. Karen will pick me up on the 23rd at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll take only what we need. Comfortable clothes, swimsuits, books. No stress, no obligations. The next few days are strange. Rachel calls twice to confirm that everything is ready for Christmas. I respond with evasions. Yes, Rachel, everything is under control. I'm not exactly lying. Everything is under control. My control, not hers. Samuel sends a message. Mom, we're dropping the kids off with you on the 24th at 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll be back on the 26th in the evening. Thanks for doing this. I don't respond. I just leave the message on read. On the night of December 22nd, I start packing. I take a small suitcase out of the closet and put it on the bed. I don't need much. A couple of comfortable pants, light shirts, sandals, my swimsuit that I haven't used in years. While I'm packing, the doorbell rings. It's late, almost 9 o'clock at night. I go downstairs feeling a little surprised and open the door. It's Rachel. She has a bag in her hand and a forced smile on her face. Hi, Mom, I brought you this. She holds out the bag. Inside are packages of cookies and juice boxes for the kids. You know how they like to snack. She doesn't invite herself in. She doesn't even ask how I am. She just hands me the bag like someone delivering a package. Rachel, I say in a calm voice, I need to tell you something. She looks at her watch. Mom, I'm in a hurry. Nathan is waiting for me in the car. Can it be quick? I look at my daughter. I really look at her. I see the woman she has become. Successful, confident, well-dressed. But I also see her for what she is, someone who has learned to use people without even realizing she's doing it. I'm not going to be here for Christmas. Rachel blinks in confusion. What do you mean you're not going to be here? Mom, we already agreed. What? You agreed? I didn't agree to anything. I heard your conversation last week. I know you planned to leave all 8 kids with me while you and Samuel went on vacation. Her face goes rigid. You were listening to my private conversations? I was in my own house. You were the one talking out loud without caring if I heard or not. Mom, it's not a big deal. It's just a few days. The kids adore you. It's not a big deal, I repeat slowly. It's not a big deal that you use me as a free nanny. It's not a big deal that you assume I don't have a life of my own. It's not a big deal that you never ask me what I want. What are you talking about? We've always included you. Included? Rachel, I wasn't invited to Nathan's birthday. I wasn't invited to your anniversary last year. The only time you include me is when you need something from me. You're exaggerating. No, I'm seeing clearly for the first time in years. Rachel sighs with impatience. Fine. So what do you want? Do you want us to pay you? Is that it? Her words hit me like a slap. Pay me? As if that was the missing piece. As if the problem was money and not the absolute lack of respect and love. I don't want your money, Rachel. I want you to see me. I want you to value me. But I realize that's never going to happen. So I've decided to do something different this year. What? I'm going on a trip. I'm leaving tomorrow morning and not coming back until after New Year's. The silence that follows my words is so dense I can feel it. Rachel looks at me as if I had just spoken a foreign language. Her mouth opens and closes several times before she finally finds her voice. You're going on a trip? Mom, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious. But everything's already planned. The kids are expecting to come here. We already told them they'd be spending Christmas with Grandma. Then you'll have to change your plans, just like I changed mine. Rachel takes a step back as if my words were physically threatening. You can't do this to us. It's Christmas. It's family time. It's family time, I repeat with a calmness that surprises me. But I don't count as family, do I? I only count as the one who solves everyone's problems. You're being ridiculous. Of course you're family. When was the last time you invited me to do something that didn't involve watching your kids? She opens her mouth to reply, but nothing comes out. I see her search her memory, trying to find a single example. She doesn't find one. Exactly, I say. You can't remember because it hasn't happened. I only exist for you when you need me. Mom, you're misinterpreting everything. We've been busy. It's true, but that doesn't mean we don't love you. Love without action is just empty words, Rachel. Her face begins to redden. I recognize that expression. It's the same one she used to get when she was a little girl and didn't get her way. And what are we supposed to do with the kids? Samuel and I already paid for the hotels. We already made the reservations. We can't just cancel everything like this. That's not my problem. Not your problem? They're your grandchildren. Yes, they're my grandchildren, but they are your children. Your responsibility, not mine. Rachel shakes her head in disbelief. I don't recognize you. This isn't you. You're right. This isn't the woman you've known your whole life. That woman let herself be walked all over. This is a new version that has decided that enough is enough. And you're going to do this? You're going to ruin your grandchildren's Christmas just to make a point? Her words are designed to make me feel guilty, and they work for a moment. I feel the familiar pang in my chest, the urge to back down, to say I was exaggerating, to return to my usual role. But then I remember the conversation I overheard. Just leave all 8 grandkids with her to watch, and that's it. I remember all the forgotten birthdays, all the lonely nights, all the moments when I had been invisible to my own family. I'm not ruining anything, I say in a firm voice. You ruined the respect you should have had for me years ago. I'm just picking up what's left of my dignity. This is pure selfishness. Dad would be disappointed in you. That's the last straw, mentioning my dead husband, using him as a weapon against me. Don't you dare, I say, and my voice comes out harder than I intended. Don't you dare talk about your father. He never treated me the way you do. He valued me. He saw me. He truly loved me. And we love you too. No, you use me. There's a difference. Rachel takes her phone out of her pocket. I'm calling Samuel. He's going to talk to you. This is crazy. Call him if you want. My decision isn't going to change. She dials while glaring at me. She waits for Samuel to answer. Samuel, you're on speakerphone. I'm with Mom, and she just told me she's not going to be here for Christmas, that she's going on a trip. Tell her this is absurd. I hear Samuel's voice on the other end. What, Mom, is that true? Yes, Samuel, it's true. But why? Did something happen? Many things happened for many years, and I finally decided that I deserve better than to be treated like your employee. No one treats you like an employee. You're our mother. When was my last birthday, Samuel? Silence. I'll tell you. It was August 15th, 4 months ago. You didn't call. You didn't write. You didn't come. Nothing. Mom, I was busy with... You're always busy. Everyone is always busy. Except when you need me for something. Then you find the time. This isn't fair, Rachel chimes in. You're punishing us for something we didn't even know bothered you. It bothered me because you never stopped to ask me. You never cared how I felt. You only cared about what I could do for you. Samuel speaks again. Mom, we can talk about this after Christmas, but right now, we need you to be available. To be available, I finish for him. That's the word you're looking for. You need me to be available. Well, guess what? I'm not anymore. Then what are we going to do? Samuel's voice sounds more irritated than worried. You're going to do what all parents do. Take care of your own children. Cancel your trips or take the kids with you. Or hire someone. I don't know. It's not my problem to solve. Rachel closes her eyes as if she were making an effort to stay calm. Mom, be reasonable. We've already paid thousands of dollars for these trips. We can't just... I paid $900 for the dinner you were going to eat. $2,200 for gifts you were going to open. That money matters too. Or at least it should. Wait, Samuel says. You canceled the dinner and the gifts? I returned them, every one of them, and I got my money back. The silence on the other end of the phone is absolute. I can imagine Samuel's face processing this information. I can't believe you did that, Rachel finally says. The kids are going to be devastated. The kids are going to be fine. They're resilient. What won't be fine is if they keep growing up thinking that grandmas only exist to serve them. Rachel puts her phone away. Her eyes are shining, but I don't know if it's from tears or rage. Fine, go. Take your trip. But don't expect things to go back to the way they were when you get back. I don't want things to go back to the way they were. That's exactly the point. She turns around and starts walking to her car. Then she stops and looks at me over her shoulder. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is not having done it sooner. I watch her get into the car where Nathan is waiting. Even from a distance, I can see her tense body language as she tells him what happened. The car starts quickly and disappears into the darkness of the street. I close the door and lean against it. My hands are shaking. My heart is beating fast. But I don't feel bad. I feel liberated. I go up to my room and continue packing. I fold each item of clothing carefully, thinking about the beach, about the sun, about conversations without pressure. I pack my swimsuit, the one I bought 3 years ago and have never used because there was never any time for me. I put my favorite book in the suitcase, a book I have tried to read 5 times but was always interrupted. This time, I will finish it. I add a new notebook. Maybe I will write. Maybe I will draw. Maybe I will just use it to make lists of things that make me happy, things I have forgotten I like. My phone starts ringing. It's Samuel. I don't answer. He calls 3 more times. Then Rachel, then Nathan, then Olivia. They all want to convince me. They all want me to go back to my place, to the place where I am useful but invisible. I turn off the phone. The silence that follows is beautiful. I sit on the bed and look at the half-full suitcase. It's small. I don't need much. I just need space to breathe. December 23rd dawned with a clear sky. I woke up early before sunrise with a strange feeling in my chest. Not fear, not guilt. Anticipation. Something I hadn't felt in years. I took a long shower, letting the hot water relax my tense muscles. I dressed in comfortable clothes, cotton pants and a light shirt. Nothing fancy or coordinated, just clothes that made me feel free. At 7:30, I did one final check of the house. Everything was clean, tidy, empty. No Christmas decorations this year. No tree, no lights, just a house. And for the first time in a long time, that seemed enough. My phone showed 27 missed calls and 18 text messages, all from Rachel, Samuel, and their spouses. I didn't read them. I turned the phone off again and put it in my purse. At 8 o'clock on the dot, the doorbell rang. Karen had arrived. "Ready for the adventure?" she asked, sunglasses perched on her head, radiating contagious energy. "More than ready." I put my small suitcase in her trunk. Karen had prepared a cooler with water and snacks for the road. When I got in the car and closed the door, I felt something unexpected. Absolute relief. As if I had just released a weight I'd been carrying for decades. "Everything okay?" Karen asked as she started the car. "Everything's perfect." We left the city behind. The streets became less congested, the buildings smaller, until finally there was only open road ahead. Karen put on soft music, nothing Christmas-themed, just calm melodies that filled the silence without demanding attention. For the first hour, we didn't talk much. I looked out the window, watching the landscape pass by. Open fields, trees, small towns that appeared and disappeared. I felt as if I were waking from a long, confusing dream. "Did they call?" Karen eventually asked. "Many times." I turned off the phone. "Good for you." Karen glanced at me. "Do you think I'm a bad person?" "Why would you ask that?" "Because I left my grandchildren without Christmas. Because I canceled everything. Because I left." Karen sighed. "Jennifer, if a friend told you her children use her, never appreciate her. Only look for her when they need something. What would you tell her?" I thought for a moment. "I'd tell her she deserves better." "Exactly. Then why don't you deserve the same?" I had no answer. Or maybe I did, but had never allowed myself to say it aloud. I had spent so many years believing my value was in what I could give that I'd forgotten I also had the right to receive. We stopped for gas and coffee. The small diner near the station was filled with travelers. A family with young children sat nearby, the parents helping them color Christmas pictures. I felt a momentary pang. Would my grandchildren miss me? Then I remembered Rachel's words. "She doesn't have anything else to do anyway." The pang faded. "The town we're going to is small," Karen said as we got back on the road. "There's not much to do, but that's the point. It's peaceful. The people are friendly. There's a beautiful beach. And the house I rented has a terrace where you can watch the sunset." Sounds perfect. "There's no internet in the house." "Well, there is, but it's terrible. You're basically going to be disconnected." I smiled. "Even better." We arrived around 2:00 p.m. The town was exactly as Karen described. Small, picturesque, with pastel-colored houses and cobblestone streets. The sea breeze reached us, bringing the smell of salt and freedom. The house Karen had rented was modest but cozy. 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a living room with large windows overlooking the beach. "This is your room," Karen said, opening a door. It was small, with a bed covered in white sheets, a nightstand, and a window overlooking the sea. I dropped my suitcase and walked to the window. The ocean stretched infinitely, sparkling in the afternoon sun. Waves broke softly on the shore. Seagulls circled above. Something inside me began to loosen, something that had been tight for years. "I'm going to make something to eat," Karen said. "Rest if you want." I sat on the bed and took a deep breath. The air tasted different, cleaner, freer. I turned on my phone briefly to check for any real emergency. 53 missed calls, 27 text messages, all from Rachel, Samuel, Nathan, and Olivia. The messages progressed from confusion to anger to manipulation. Rachel: "Mom, the kids are crying. This is what you wanted?" Samuel: "I called the grocery store. They confirmed you canceled everything. This level of selfishness is unimaginable." Nathan: "Jennifer, Rachel is very upset. This isn't good for her health. You need to come back." Olivia: "I don't understand what we did wrong. We always treated you with respect." I read each message without feeling what I expected. No guilt, no urgency to respond. Just a clear distance between them and me. I turned off the phone again and placed it at the bottom of my suitcase. Karen called from the kitchen. "Food is ready." The table was simple but abundant. Fresh salad, grilled fish, rice, fruits. Simple food that tasted like care. We ate slowly, talking about unimportant things. The weather, sunset colors, plans for the next few days. "Tomorrow is Christmas Eve," Karen said. "I thought we could walk on the beach in the morning. There's a small market downtown where they sell crafts. And at night, if you want, we can have a simple dinner here or go to the town restaurant. Whatever you prefer." I was caught off guard. What do I want? It had been so long since anyone had asked me that. "I want to walk on the beach," I said slowly. "I want to see the market. And at night, I want a quiet dinner here without any stress." Karen smiled. "Then that's what we'll do." That afternoon, we walked on the beach. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. I let the water touch my feet, cold but refreshing. Karen collected shells. There were families with kids building sandcastles, couples walking hand in hand, groups of friends laughing. Everyone seemed at peace. "You know what hurts the most?" I said suddenly. "What?" "That they didn't even notice I was disappearing. I was invisible for years and they never cared." Karen took my arm. "Jennifer, you're not invisible. They chose not to see you. There's a huge difference. And the fact that they couldn't see your worth doesn't mean you don't have it." Her words hit me hard. I felt tears coming, but this time I didn't stop them. I let them fall freely while the waves provided a soothing soundtrack. Karen hugged me. She didn't say anything else, just held me while I cried out years of accumulated pain. When I pulled away, I wiped my tears and looked at the horizon. The sun was touching the water, creating a path of light on the waves. "Thank you," I said. "For what?" "For seeing me. For being here. For not judging me. That's what real friends do." We returned to the house as darkness fell. Karen made tea, and we sat on the terrace, wrapped in light blankets, listening to the constant sound of the sea. We didn't talk much. There was no need. The company was enough. That night I slept soundly for the first time in weeks. No nightmares, no anxiety, just deep, restorative rest. Christmas Eve dawned bright and warm. I woke to the sound of seagulls and fresh coffee from the kitchen. For a moment, I didn't remember where I was. Then it all came back. I was far away. I was free. I was choosing myself for the first time in decades. I got up slowly, without rushing. Karen was already in the kitchen making breakfast. Toast, fresh fruit, orange juice. "Good morning. How did you sleep?" "Better than I have in years." We ate breakfast on the terrace, looking at the calm sea, reflecting the sky like a mirror. People were already walking on the beach, taking advantage of the cool morning hours. "Ready for the market?" Karen asked. "Ready." We walked to town center. The streets were livelier than yesterday. Christmas music played from stores, but it wasn't loud commercial music. It was soft, almost comforting. The market was small but charming. Local crafts, handmade jewelry, black and white photographs from local artists. Everything had a personal touch, carrying the story of its creator. I stopped at a stall selling woven bracelets, simple but beautiful in different colors. The woman selling them was about my age, with wrinkled but strong hands that had worked a lifetime. "They're beautiful," I told her. "Thank you. I make them myself. Each one is unique." I bought one in shades of green and white for $15 and put it on my wrist. It felt light, simple, mine. Karen bought earrings and we continued walking, stopping at different stalls without pressure or schedule. It was the first time in years I could just walk, look, exist without anyone needing anything from me. At one stall I found handmade notebooks. I bought one with a fabric cover, thinking of all the things I wanted to write, all I'd kept silent about for so long. Around noon, we returned to the house. It was getting hot, so we decided to spend the afternoon at the beach. Karen brought umbrellas and towels. I put on my swimsuit for the first time in 3 years. I looked at myself in the mirror before leaving. My body had aged. Wrinkles, stretch marks, marks of time. But this was the body that had carried 2 children, worked tirelessly, sustained me through everything. For once, I felt only gratitude, not criticism. We spent the afternoon under the umbrella. Karen read while I watched the sea, feeling the sun on my skin and listening to the waves. There was peace here I didn't know could exist. I briefly checked my phone. More messages, more calls. One from Rachel caught my attention. We had to cancel everything. The hotels wouldn't refund our money. Samuel is furious. The kids won't stop asking for you. I hope you're happy. I read it twice, expecting to feel guilt or remorse, but all I felt was cold clarity. This wasn't my responsibility. It never should have been. I replied for the first time. I'm sorry you had to change your plans. The kids have parents. It's time for you to act like them. I sent the message and turned off the phone again. Everything okay? Karen asked. Everything's perfect. That night, instead of an elaborate dinner, we made something simple. Pasta with fresh vegetables, salad, a glass of wine. We ate on the terrace while the sun set on the horizon. Happy Christmas Eve, Karen said, raising her glass. Happy Christmas Eve, I replied. We toasted, and the sound of glasses clinking was soft and clear. There were no fireworks, no expensive gifts, no stress. Just 2 friends sharing a quiet dinner by the sea. You know what's strangest? I said after a while. What? That I don't miss anything I left behind. I thought I would feel bad. I thought I would miss the kids, the traditions. But I just feel relief. That's because you're finally where you should be, with yourself. That night I slept soundly again, dreaming of the sea, of walking on the beach aimlessly, with time for everything and hurry for nothing. Christmas Day dawned just as beautiful. We had a late breakfast with no alarms or obligations. Then we went for a walk on a trail bordering the coast. The landscape was breathtaking. Rocks, wild vegetation, the sea stretching infinitely. In the afternoon, we went to the town's restaurant, a small family-run place. There were other people spending a peaceful Christmas, an older couple, a group of friends. Everyone seemed relaxed. We ordered fresh fish and white wine. The food was delicious, prepared with care and affection. It wasn't an elaborate dinner, but it had something my prepared meals never did. I could enjoy it without worrying about serving others. While eating, my phone vibrated in my purse. I ignored it, but it continued insistently. Finally, I answered. Mom. Rachel's voice sounded controlled but tense. Yes? We need to talk. I'm busy. You're busy? She repeated incredulously. It's Christmas Day and you're busy? That's right. Samuel and I are coming to your house tomorrow. We need to sort this out. There's nothing to sort out. I've made my decision. You can't just leave and pretend you don't have responsibilities. My only responsibilities are to myself. You're adults. Manage your own lives. What about the kids? What did they do wrong? The kids did nothing wrong, but it's not my job to raise them. I already raised my children. Now it's your turn. I don't recognize you. Good, because the woman you knew no longer exists. She got tired of being invisible. There was a long pause. Then Rachel spoke in a lower, almost threatening voice. Fine. If this is what you want, perfect. But don't expect us to look for you when you get back. Don't expect us to include you in anything. You made your decision. Now live with it. I'll live with it perfectly well. I hung up before she could respond. My hands trembled slightly, but not from fear, from liberation. Karen looked at me from across the table. How do you feel? Free. That night, back at the house, I sat on the terrace with my new notebook. I opened the first page and began to write. Today is Christmas, and I'm where I want to be. For the first time in my life, I chose my own peace over others' expectations. And I don't regret it. I kept writing about years of silence, moments of invisibility, learning that saying no isn't selfishness but self-love. I wrote until my hand hurt, and when I finally closed the notebook, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: hope. The following days passed in a calm I'd never known. Karen and I woke late, had breakfast on the terrace, walked on the beach, read, talked. There were no schedules, no pressures, just time moving slow and soft like the waves. On December 28th, I received a message from my neighbor. Jennifer, it's Lena Brown from next door. Rachel and Samuel have been knocking on your door for an hour. Thought you should know. I replied, thanks for the heads up. I'm not in town. Won't be back until after New Year's. If they return, please don't give them any information about me. Lena responded quickly. Understood. Take care. I put the phone aside and returned to my book, but couldn't concentrate. I knew this wasn't over. I would eventually have to face them face to face. That night I told Karen what happened. What will you do when you get back? She asked. I don't know yet, but I won't go back to who I was. I can't control how they react, only how I respond. Karen nodded. You're going to be okay, Jennifer. You're stronger than you think. On December 29th, we visited a small art gallery in the neighboring town. Among the local landscapes and sculptures, one painting caught my eye. An older woman sitting on a wooden chair looking out at the sea. Her posture was peaceful, almost meditative. It's beautiful, I said to the gallery owner. A local artist painted it. She says it represents the peace that comes after the storm. How much? $250. It was more than I'd planned to spend, but something in that painting spoke to me, like seeing my own transformation reflected in oil. I'll take it. We hung it in the living room back at the house. Karen stepped back to admire it. It's perfect for you. Yes, I agreed. I think so too. That night I wrote more in my notebook about the fear I'd initially felt, about the guilt that never came, about discovering that chosen solitude differs from imposed loneliness. On December 30th, my phone rang again. This time it was Nathan, Rachel's husband. Jennifer, I need to talk to you. I'm listening. Rachel is devastated. You don't understand the damage you've caused. On the contrary, I perfectly understand the damage I've allowed you all to cause me for years. This isn't about you. This is about family. Family? How many times have you invited me to something that didn't involve watching your kids? How many times have you asked how I'm doing? How many times have you treated me as more than a convenient nanny? Silence on the other end. Exactly. Never. Because for you, for Rachel, for Samuel, I only exist when I'm useful. You're the grandma. You're supposed to be there for the kids. I'm a person before I'm a grandmother, and that person deserves respect. Rachel says she doesn't want to see you again. That's her decision. I'll be here when she's ready to treat me with dignity, but not before. You're incredibly selfish, and you're incredibly blind. But it's no longer my job to make you see. I hung up. This time my hands weren't shaking. I felt a deep calm, and Karen hugged me without saying a word. On New Year's Eve, we had a small celebration. We bought fresh seafood and cooked it ourselves, not elaborate, but special. We set the table with candles and wildflowers collected on our walks. At 11:00 p.m., we went to the terrace with glasses of sparkling cider. From there, we could see fireworks in the distance, small points of light in the dark sky. To new beginnings, Karen said. To choosing myself, I replied. We toasted as midnight bells chimed from the town church. January 1st dawned peacefully. We spent the day relaxing. In the afternoon, I received a message from Samuel. Mom, this has gone too far. You need to come back and fix this. Rachel won't stop crying. The kids are asking for you. Dad wouldn't have wanted this. I replied, Your father taught me that true love isn't manipulation. He taught me that relationships need mutual respect. If Rachel is crying, perhaps you should reflect on why. If the kids are asking for me, tell them their grandma loves them, but also loves herself. I'll be back in 2 days. When I do, things will be different. Either you accept the new Jennifer, or we have nothing more to talk about. I turned off the phone feeling stronger than ever before, not because I was punishing my children, but because for the first time in decades, I was honoring myself. On January 2nd, Karen and I packed our things. The trip back was peaceful, so different from the anxious journey to the beach just 10 days earlier. I looked out the window, processing everything I had experienced. I wasn't a different person. I was the same Jennifer I had always been, but finally free of chains I had allowed to be placed on me. When we arrived at my house, Karen helped me with my suitcase. Are you going to be okay? She asked, concern in her eyes. I'm going to be perfect, I said, and for once that word felt right. We hugged tightly. Thank you for everything, Karen. For seeing me, for being there. When you want to repeat the trip, just let me know. I watched her drive away, then went inside. The house was exactly as I had left it. Clean, tidy, empty, but now that emptiness didn't scare me. It was space. Space to build something new. I hung the painting I had bought on the living room wall. The woman looking out at the sea would remind me of who I was now. That night, I slept in my own bed, comfortable and at peace. No anxiety about tomorrow, no mental list of things I needed to do for others. Just rest. The next morning I woke up naturally, without an alarm. I made coffee and sat on my back porch, watching birds in the garden. My phone remained off. I wasn't ready yet. After breakfast, I drove to the community center. I had passed it hundreds of times, but never gone inside. Today was different. Good morning, I said to the woman at the reception desk. I was wondering what classes you offer for seniors. She smiled and handed me a brochure. We have painting on Mondays, yoga on Tuesdays and Thursdays, book club on Wednesdays, and various workshops throughout the month. I studied the options. I'd like to sign up for painting, please. Have you painted before? Not since high school, but I think it's time to start again. She took my information and handed me a receipt. Class starts next Monday at 10 o'clock a.m. All materials are provided. Thank you, I said, feeling a small thrill of anticipation. On my way home, I stopped at the grocery store, not to buy food for a family dinner, but things I enjoyed. Fresh berries, good cheese, a bottle of wine I'd always wanted to try but had considered too expensive. At home, I finally turned on my phone. The barrage was immediate. Texts, voicemails, emails. I deleted them all without reading. Whatever they had to say could wait until they were ready to say it to my face. Instead, I called Karen. How's your first day back? Good, I said, surprised to find it was true. I signed up for a painting class. Jennifer King taking time for herself, I never thought I'd see the day. We laughed, and it felt wonderful. Are you ready for when they show up? Karen asked. Because they will. I think so, I replied. I know what I want now. I know what I deserve. That afternoon, I started reading the book I had brought to the beach, a mystery novel I'd bought months ago. I sat in my living room armchair and lost myself in the story. No interruptions, no guilt about taking time for myself. At 6, the doorbell rang. I knew who it would be before I opened the door. Rachel and Samuel stood on my porch, both with serious expressions. "May we come in?" Rachel asked stiffly. I considered for a moment. "Yes, you may." I led them to the living room but didn't offer refreshments as I normally would have. I sat in my armchair while they took the couch. "You're back?" Samuel said unnecessarily. "I am." "You missed Christmas," Rachel said, her voice tight with accusation. "I chose to spend Christmas differently this year." Rachel's eyes narrowed. "Do you have any idea what you did to the kids? To us?" I met her gaze steadily. "I set a boundary, something I should have done years ago." "A boundary?" Samuel scoffed. "You abandoned your family at Christmas." "No, I chose not to be used as free childcare so you could go on vacation." Rachel flushed. "That's not fair. We thought you enjoyed having the kids." "I do enjoy my grandchildren. I don't enjoy being taken for granted. I don't enjoy being invisible until you need something from me." "Mom," Samuel leaned forward, "we never meant to make you feel that way." "Intent doesn't change impact," I said quietly. "Whether you meant to or not, that's exactly what you did." Rachel noticed the painting on the wall. "That's new." "Yes, I bought it on my trip." "It looks expensive." "It was $250, about what I spend on groceries for your families in a typical week." They both looked away, uncomfortable with this direct mention of money. "So what now?" Samuel asked. "You've made your point. Can we move forward?" "That depends on whether you understand what the point was." They exchanged glances. "That we should appreciate you more?" Rachel ventured. I shook my head. "That I'm a person, not a resource. That I have my own life, my own needs, my own desires. That I deserve respect, not just when it's convenient for you, but all the time." "And what does that mean practically?" Samuel asked, an edge of frustration in his voice. "It means I won't be available on demand anymore. It means if you want me to watch the kids, you ask properly and in advance. It means you remember my birthday. It means you invite me to family events not just when you need help, but because you want me there." "And if we don't?" Rachel's challenge was clear in her tone. "Then we'll have a very distant relationship. I'll always love you both. You're my children. But I won't allow myself to be treated like a doormat anymore." Samuel ran his hands through his hair. "This feels like manipulation, like you're holding your love hostage." "No," I said firmly. "I'm holding my time and energy hostage. Those are mine to give or withhold. My love for you has never been in question." "The kids miss you," Rachel said, changing tactics. "Lily keeps asking when Grandma is coming over." "I miss them too, and I'm happy to see them, on terms that respect me as more than their babysitter." We sat in uncomfortable silence for a moment. "Olivia thinks you're having some kind of breakdown," Samuel finally said. "Maybe menopause or depression or something." I laughed, genuinely amused. "I'm sure she does. It's easier to diagnose me than to admit you've all been taking advantage of me for years." "That's not fair," Rachel protested. "Isn't it? When was the last time either of you called just to talk to me? Not to ask for something. Not to tell me you need me to watch the kids or cook dinner. But just to see how I am?" Their silence was my answer. "That's what I thought." Rachel stood up, clearly upset. "I don't know what happened to you on that trip, but you're not the mother I knew." "You're right, and that's a good thing." Samuel also rose. "This isn't over, Mom." "No, it's not. It's just beginning. But whether it begins a healthier relationship or the end of what we had is up to you." They left without hugging me, without the usual "love you, Mom." I closed the door behind them and leaned against it. My legs trembled slightly, Not from fear, but from adrenaline. I had done it, stood my ground, spoken my truth. It hadn't been easy, but it had been necessary. The following week was quiet. No calls from Rachel or Samuel. No surprise visits from the grandchildren. The silence would have devastated me before, but now it felt like a necessary transition. On Monday, I attended my first painting class. There were about 12 of us, mostly women my age or older. The instructor, a gentleman named David, started us with basic techniques. "Don't worry about making it perfect," he said as we mixed colors. "Focus on expressing what you feel." I painted a small, simple beach scene, not very good, but entirely mine. As I worked, I chatted with the woman next to me, Sonia Davis. "First time painting?" she asked. "Since high school. You?" "I started 2 years ago after my divorce. Best decision I ever made." As we cleaned our brushes at the end of class, Sonia invited me to coffee with some of the other women. I accepted without hesitation. Another first. At the cafe, I found myself among women with their own stories of reinvention. Sonia had left a controlling husband after 40 years. Margaret had started over after her children moved across the country. Helen had survived cancer and decided to live differently. "It's not easy," Sonia said as we discussed my situation. "My son didn't speak to me for 3 months after I set boundaries. He'd gotten used to me being the free babysitter, the ATM, the emotional support who never asked for anything in return." "What happened?" I asked. "He met a new woman who called him out on his behavior. Sometimes it takes an outsider to make them see. Now we have a relationship based on mutual respect. Not perfect, but better." "My daughter hasn't been as fortunate," Helen added. "She never accepted my changes. We speak occasionally, but it's superficial. Not everyone can adapt when you stop playing the role they assigned you." Their stories both encouraged and sobered me. Change was possible, but not guaranteed. "You have to be prepared for either outcome," Sonia advised. "Some relationships can transform. Others can't survive the honesty." We exchanged phone numbers before leaving, making plans to meet again next week. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in years. I had friends, real friends, who saw and understood me. 2 weeks after my confrontation with Rachel and Samuel, I received a text from Olivia. "The twins have a piano recital on Saturday. They'd like you to come. 2 p.m. at the community center." Not a demand, not an assumption, an invitation. I replied, "Thank you for letting me know. I'd love to attend." On Saturday, I dressed nicely and arrived at the community center 15 minutes early. Samuel, Olivia, and their children were already there. The twins looked nervous but smiled when they saw me. "Grandma, you came." Emily ran to hug me. "Of course I did. I wouldn't miss your recital." Samuel nodded stiffly but didn't approach. Olivia came over. "Jennifer, thank you for coming. The kids have missed you." "I've missed them too." We sat together, though the conversation was awkward and minimal. The twins performed beautifully, and I applauded with genuine pride. Afterward, as families mingled with refreshments, Samuel approached me. "Mom, can we talk for a minute?" "Sure." We stepped into a quiet corridor. "Olivia and I have been talking," he began, looking uncomfortable. "About what you said. About how we've been treating you." I waited, not making it easier for him. "I didn't want to see it. It was easier to think you were being unreasonable." He took a deep breath. "But looking back honestly, you were right. We've taken you for granted. We've treated you like you existed just to help us." "Yes, you have." "I'm sorry, Mom. I really am." His voice cracked slightly. "I don't want to lose you because I was too selfish to see what was happening." The apology I had waited for had finally come. but I no longer needed it the same way. It didn't define my worth anymore. Thank you for saying that, Samuel. It means a lot to me. Can we start over? Try to build something better? I'd like that, but it has to be different. Real change, not just words. He nodded. I understand. No more assumptions, no more taking advantage. And respect, that's what I need most, to be seen as a person with my own life, not just as grandma or mom who exists to serve the family. We can do that, he hesitated. Rachel is having a harder time. She feels like you rejected her, rejected the kids. I didn't reject anyone. I refuse to be used. There's a difference. I know that now. She'll figure it out too, eventually. We rejoined the group. The conversation remained somewhat stilted, but it was a beginning. Before leaving, I hugged each grandchild, savoring their warmth without the weight of obligation. Would you like to come for dinner next Sunday? Olivia asked. Nothing fancy, just family time. I'd like that very much, I replied. 3 months passed. Winter gave way to spring, bringing new growth to my garden and my life. I settled into new routines, painting class on Mondays, book club on Wednesdays, weekly coffee with my new friends. I visited Samuel's family every other Sunday for dinner, not as their servant, but as their guest. Rachel remained distant. She allowed me to see her children occasionally, but always with Nathan present, as if I needed supervision. Our conversations were polite but superficial. The wall between us remained, though I noticed small cracks appearing. On a warm April afternoon, I was in my garden planting flowers when I heard the gate open. I looked up to see Rachel standing there alone, looking uncertain. "Mom," she said softly, "can we talk?" I removed my gardening gloves and stood. "Of course. Would you like some iced tea?" "That would be nice." We sat on the porch, the awkward silence broken only by the sound of birds. "Your garden looks beautiful," she finally said. "Thank you. It's been therapeutic, watching things grow." She traced the rim of her glass with her finger. "Samuel says you've been taking classes, painting and stuff." "Yes. I've discovered I enjoy creative activities when I'm not exhausted from taking care of everyone else." She winced slightly. I deserve that. It wasn't meant as an attack, just a fact. "Mom," she sighed, "I've been angry, really angry. When you left at Christmas, it felt like you were punishing us, like you didn't care about the kids or me or anyone but yourself." I understand it felt that way, but I wasn't punishing you. I was saving myself. From what? From disappearing completely. From becoming nothing more than a function in your lives. She was quiet for a long time. "I talked to Lily's teacher last week, Mrs. Henderson. She's about your age. She was telling me about her trip to Spain, how she's learning Italian for her next vacation, how she takes tango lessons on Thursdays." Rachel shook her head. And I realized, I never thought about you having a life like that. Dreams, hobbies, friends. It's like in my mind you were just Mom, just there when we needed you. That's exactly how it felt to be me. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears forming. "I'm so sorry, Mom. Thank you for saying that. Can you forgive me?" I reached across and took her hand. "I already have. The question is whether we can build something new." "I'd like to try." She wiped her eyes. "The kids really do miss you. Not just as the grandma who bakes cookies, but as you." Noah was looking at old photos and said, "Grandma has the best laugh." Zoe keeps asking when you're coming to read stories again. I miss them too. All of you. Would you come to dinner on Friday? Just us? No agenda, no babysitting afterwards, just family. I'd love that. She hesitated. And maybe sometime you could tell me about your trip? About what you've been doing? I'd like to know you better. The real you, not just my mom. I'd like that very much, Rachel. As she was leaving, she turned back. I like your bracelet. The green one. I touched the woven bracelet from the beach market. Thank you. I bought it on my trip. It reminds me of my journey. It suits you. After she left, I sat in the garden feeling a cautious hope bloom alongside my flowers. Reconciliation wouldn't happen overnight. Trust would need to be rebuilt slowly. But it was possible, if we both wanted it enough. That evening, I wrote in my journal, the notebook I'd bought at the beach now half filled with reflections. Today, Rachel came to talk. Really talk, not just make demands. There's hurt on both sides that needs healing, but we've taken the first step. I don't know if we'll ever have the relationship I dreamed of, but we might build something honest and new. And that's enough. When I look at the woman I was 5 months ago, afraid to say no, desperate for approval, exhausted from giving without receiving, I hardly recognize her. The journey hasn't been easy, but it's been necessary. I learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's essential. Karen calls it my rebirth. Sonia calls it reclaiming my power. I call it remembering who I am beyond the roles others assigned me. Tomorrow, I have my painting class. Next week, a day trip with my new friends to the botanical gardens. The week after, dinner with Samuel's family, and possibly lunch with Rachel. My calendar is filling with things I choose, not just obligations I accept. At 67, I'm finally learning how to live for myself while still loving others. It's never too late to begin again. The doorbell rang at 5:30 p.m. exactly. I smiled, appreciating the punctuality, one of many small changes. I opened the door to find Samuel, Olivia, and their 5 children, all dressed nicely. Each child carried something. Emily held a bouquet of flowers, Ethan a wrapped package, Jacob a bottle of sparkling cider, Sophie a homemade card, and little Max clutched a chocolate bar. "Happy birthday, Grandma!" they chorused. "Oh my goodness!" I laughed, genuinely surprised. Come in, come in." They filed into the living room where Karen, Sonia, and my other friends from painting class were already enjoying appetizers. "Mom, you look beautiful," Samuel said, hugging me. 68 looks good on you." "Thank you, dear." Olivia kissed my cheek. "The kids have been planning this all week." Max tugged my sleeve. "Grandma, I brought you chocolate 'cause it's your favorite." I knelt to his level. "That's very thoughtful, Max. Thank you." The doorbell rang again. Rachel, Nathan, and their 3 children arrived, also bearing gifts. "Sorry we're a few minutes late," Rachel said. "Traffic was terrible on Main Street." "You're right on time," I assured her. The lasagna just came out of the oven. As everyone settled in, I looked around my living room. So much had changed in 1 year. Samuel and I spoke weekly now, not just when he needed something. Rachel and I were still rebuilding, our relationship more tentative but also more honest than before. The grandchildren visited regularly, sometimes for overnight stays, but always planned in advance and with genuine gratitude from their parents. My home had changed too. The formal living room was now part studio, with an easel in the corner and several of my paintings displayed alongside family photos. Real photos where I was included, not just serving or standing in the background. My calendar had transformed from a litany of other people's needs to a balanced mix of family time and personal pursuits. I had friends who knew me as Jennifer, not just as someone's mother or grandmother. Karen clinked her glass for attention. "Before we eat, I'd like to propose a toast to the birthday girl. Jennifer, when I met you 30 years ago, you were always taking care of others. It's been amazing watching you learn to care for yourself, too. To Jennifer, may this year bring even more joy and self-discovery." "To Jennifer!" everyone echoed. As we moved to the dining table, Rachel pulled me aside. "Mom, I found something I wanted to show you. She handed me a small velvet pouch. Inside was a charm bracelet I hadn't seen in decades. This was Grandma's, wasn't it? I asked, touching the silver charms. Yes. I found it when I was cleaning out my jewelry box. I remembered how much you loved it, how she gave it to you on your 16th birthday. You gave it to me when I turned 16. Her eyes glistened. I thought maybe it should come back to you now. Rachel, that's so thoughtful. I've been thinking about cycles, Mom, about how we repeat patterns without realizing it. She helped me fasten the bracelet alongside my woven one from the beach. I don't want Lily to learn what I learned, that a woman's value is in what she gives, not who she is. I hugged her tightly. She has a good teacher in you, and an even better one in you, now that you're taking care of yourself, too. At the table, surrounded by family and friends, I said a silent thank you to that version of myself from a year ago, the woman who finally found the courage to say, enough. She had no idea that her moment of painful clarity would lead to this, not perfect harmony, but authentic connection, not constant availability, but genuine presence. After dinner, Samuel announced they'd hired a photographer to take a proper family portrait. We'll do it in the backyard, he said, by those roses you love. When we gathered for the photo, I noticed something significant. I wasn't positioned in the back or on the periphery. I was seated in the center, with my family arranged around me, all of us equally visible, equally important. Perfect, the photographer said after capturing several shots. And for once, that word felt absolutely right. Thank you for following my journey. It's never too late to remember your worth and set healthy boundaries. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself with family? Did you find the courage to change long-established patterns? Share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of transformation and growth.